Hey guys, Jacqueline Fernandez here at the Alert Center. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Hopefully you don't have hail damage from last night, but if you do, we're going to chat with Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau for some best practices and in helping you find somebody who can fix the hail damage, whether it's on your car, your house, your windows. My goodness, so much first alert weather to report last night, and thankfully today it's looking beautiful out there, but we can talk about local weather in a second. But before long, just want to introduce you to Josh Planos, again with the Better Business Bureau. He's joining me now to chat a little bit about some best practices. So Josh, thanks so much for joining us at the Alert Center this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Jacqueline. It's a pretty loud night for most within our service area, and hopefully your home and your vehicle got off, scotch-free. But
Right.
that's probably pretty challenging for a lot of folks to work through today.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I live in the Blackstone area, and I could definitely hear the hail just pelting, across some of the windows and in the apartment building that I live in. And my goodness, it was just really intense at certain points there, and with just 80-mile-per-hour winds and the full gamut. So something that Midwesterners unfortunately aren't stranger to necessarily, but for those of us who are trying to avoid those scams. What can you recommend? Kind of take me through the list here, and you do have a website, bbb.org, and a specific page that I'm going to be going in and out of to kind of show people what we're chatting about. But go ahead, Josh. Let's get the process started here.
Yeah, so scammers and legitimate businesses do a pretty incredible job of canvassing areas that are impacted by storms. Uh, Obviously, you want to make sure that you're working with one of those reputable businesses versus a scammer or someone who is just looking to take advantage of the moment. So anyone who is impacted by the flooding along the Missouri River or hail
Right.
damage overnight is going to be fed a lot of digital advertising in the coming weeks. And not just that, but they might have somebody show up on their front door. And you want to make sure that you know a little bit more about what it is that you want, or best practices to avoid essentially what you don't want. To go through this as smoothly as possible. One of our tips being to gather at least three estimates. For
Right.
many people, home improvement projects of any kind, seem to end the moment you get a single estimate. It's really not best practice. It's really not a good way to get a sense for what the market rate is for that good or service. And so that's something that we would advise is for you to work through those rules of threes,
Yeah.
as it were. Don't be pressured into signing contracts right away, particularly
Right.
if someone shows up on your front doorstep. That is a hallmark of a scam, someone who doesn't allow you to uh, the time and research to make the best decision for yourself and your loved ones.
Right.
So if somebody puts you under pressure, there's usually a reason for that, and it's not typically because they're a reputable business or a business that is deserving of your time and attention.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially if there's somebody present at your door, right? Or somebody perhaps you've let into your home, maybe to chit chat a little bit about how much, reversing this damage on your car, your property of some kind is going to cost you. So, yeah, I know people do feel pressured, when you have a real person in front of you there. So that's a good point. Now, talk about the next little tab here. Always check with BBB and request quotes from BBB accredited businesses. I know you said get 3 quotes, and I do the same thing, right? I mean, and typically end up going with the middle guy. But
Right, right.
let's chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, not all quotes are created equal, right? And so,
Right.
you might receive a quote from someone who's unlicensed. You probably shouldn't be weighing that against a quote from someone who's a reputable or trustworthy business and seeing those as apples to apples, right? So,
Yeah.
we of course recommend you work through the BBB system. All of our businesses who are accredited are properly licensed. We have verified that they are appropriately licensed to provide that service. So if you want somebody to fix the hail damage on your vehicle or put a new roof on your home, you want to make sure that you're at least working with someone who's legally allowed to provide that service, that they're legally given that stamp of approval, right?
Sure.
You really don't know that I mean, you can create a business profile for anybody, on Google or elsewhere, right? You want to make
Yeah.
sure that you're at least working through a system that has accreditation, that has standards, that has appropriate licensing. So through bbb.org, there is the ability to request quotes. Again, that's a free available resource for consumers. There's no cost associated with that. And then you can really get a better chance of evaluating an apples to apples comparison with regard to your project.
Yeah, sure, definitely. That's always imperative. And again, as we always kind of say during these scams, though, if you do come across a faulty business, I mean, make sure that you report it. You're not only helping yourself kind of avoid future scams, you're doing something good for the community, and you can really help out others avoid those illegal schemes or fraud or whatever may present itself.
Yeah, it's not enough to say I was able to avoid this situation, and that's the end of that. That doesn't protect anyone. That doesn't do society any good. You really want to make sure that you're able to protect those that you can. And much as we might like to think that everyone is able to avoid scammers or untrustworthy businesses, the reality is that many aren't. And it's something that requires protection and education. And the only way we get that is by people bringing that information forward. So if someone comes to your front door and they won't leave unless you sign a contract, or you find that they're not appropriately licensed or that they're not even a business to begin with, it's really important to bring that information forward, to report it. It takes all of 2.5 minutes to report scams via Scam Tracker. And I'd like to think that the safety of everyone in your neighborhood, loved ones, that they're deserving of that time. Um, it really does not take too much to report that experience, and it does a whole lot of good when you do it.
Yeah, definitely. And as you keep mentioning, I mean, it's very easy. You've made it easy for us. Just a short list here, and you kind of go through in 2.5 minutes. I mean, if you can do something good for your community in that short amount of time, I mean, why not, for sure. So, Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we take off for the day, or have we pretty much covered
It's
it?
just, well, severe weather is going to be around for the foreseeable future, right? So
Right.
this is as good a time as any to get up to speed on some of these best practices, what to look out for, how to have a disaster relief plan, such that
Right.
when the disaster hits, you know exactly what you and your loved ones are going to do. Be proactive where possible. This
Yeah.
is an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Great advice there, and great tips. So thank you so much for your time as always, Josh. And hopefully we'll see you next week as well.
Sounds great. Thanks,
All right.
Jacqueline.
Thank you. All right, guys, so we just heard from Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau a little bit about, if you've experienced we were on 6 First Alert last night, especially, just was chatting with meteorologist Jade Steffens in the dressing room. She said, yeah, we were here till around midnight and just making sure everyone was safe. So hopefully you were safe, and hopefully, you don't have to contact a business for hail damage to your vehicle or your house or, gosh, any other property that may be out there. But if you do, the Better Business Bureau, always a great resource to keep on hand. In the interim, let's take a look at how it's looking today. Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord always gives us a forecast for every day. It looks beautiful out there today. He says today's going to be mostly sunny and calm with a high of 86, and that should be good. Tonight, increasing clouds though with a low of 63, so a lot cooler. I'm assuming that that's just because of the storms that were in our area. Taking another look now at Children's, Nebraska. Another beautiful shot for you. Now, as far as Thursday goes, Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord says it's going to be mostly cloudy. He says 70%, chance of scattered thunder showers from the afternoon through the overnight with a high of 78. And then Friday, he says 40% chance of lingering early storms, then partly cloudy with a high of 89. Let's take a look at 90th and Dodge as we chat about this. With sticking with Friday, a few more late night storms are possible too. He says mostly in the southeast. This is a live look at 90th and Dodge, and I like this shot because you can kind of see the flag and kind of check out how windy it is out there. So that is always good to take note of as well. Now remember, we have been tracking the Missouri River levels on our website and online, and for these stories you can always head to our website, WWT.com. We have the latest there for you as well. Again, here's the alert: cooler and calmer weather for the middle of the week. So that is welcome news for all of us. And again, you can access all of this on our website, WOWT.com. In the meantime, just want to thank you so much for joining me at the Alert Center, and we'll be sure and keep you updated with the latest news, weather, and sports on our broadcasts. And make sure you stick with us for our first broadcast, 1 to 3, with Dave Zavolinsky. We'll see you then.